Use the Force, Luke.
Sometimes truth isn't good enough.
I feel the need for speed.
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes!
Because it's their time. Their time. Up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
Wait. What show is this again, dude? We do like 6 of these a week. I don't know. Dude. I don't just come on. No intro. Get in here. Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
Dude, it's been a wild, busy day, dude. We got a lot to talk about, but I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you had a good weekend. The trip went safe. Nothing exploded.
Well, you don't know about that.
Well, I mean, we're talking about 90 cents off on a gas deal that you got. So I mean, that's pretty solid, though. That's not too shabby to come home and fill up for, under $2 a gallon. That's nice. There you go.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
That's pretty sweet. But yeah, dude, Daredevil. We got a double. We got a twofer. Episodes 5 and 6 that we're gonna bang into. I didn't know that we were talking briefly because it is a big story. Do you want to do like a 3-minute thing on talk about that cast list for Doomsday? That's kind of a big deal. It's kind of adjacent to Marvel. I have it pulled up. Do you want to just kind of open with that and then go into Daredevil real quick?
Sure, we could let everyone wait for Daredevil.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, there we go. And people can kind of trickle in because hopefully folks show up and want to do the Daredevil discussion, get into the plot details. So we'll warn you guys now, and we'll save the graphic for later when we do it. But there will be spoilers because there's really no way to talk about the show without giving some stuff away, and especially in an hour-long show. This isn't just for sound bites for us and little quick bits, drips, and drabs. But big news, I guess this is like an official thing. This isn't like somebody put together a leaked email. This isn't somebody heard from a guy, source, trust me, bro, on the prospective cast list for Avengers Doomsday. And it's a fairly big list. I don't know if you had heard any rumors or if you had seen the list today or if this was news to you.
I did not see the list today. I saw a couple of shows talking about it, but once again, I thought it was one of those leaked lists or like someone made a leaked list.
Yeah, somebody sourced me, bro. Right.
Yeah.
No, I guess I don't remember whose video it was, but I'm pretty sure it got sourced out of Variety. So that's an industry trade publication. So I'm gonna go with that's fairly reliable.
Yeah.
Worth noting. I'll read you down the list real quick, but worth noting on this list, Scarlett Johansson not on this list, and Chris Evans also not on this list. And I remember we had talked before about how one of the prospective storylines, because it's Doom, is maybe they were doing the anti-Avengers or whatever they call the evil Avengers, and it would have been Hydra Cap. It would have been Hydra Cap, and it would have been evil version of Black Widow. So maybe that's not the angle. Apparently, maybe it's not because they're not on this list. But let me. I'm not going to share the screen or nothing. I'm just going to hit you with some names, and because a couple of them I don't think folks will. They're not as people wouldn't know them as well just yet. But they do have Thor. Chris Hemsworth is on this list. No Mark Ruffalo, no Edward Norton, no who's the other guy? Bana. I don't remember.
Eric Bana.
Eric Bana. Yep. So no version of the Hulk is on this list that I've seen. We got Vanessa Kirby, who is coming up as Sue Storm in the Fantastic Four movie coming out soon. Anthony Mackie's coming back. That's Captain Falcon, as we know. Sebastian Stan is Bucky. Letitia Wright reprising the role as Black Panther.
Oh.
Paul Rudd, who Ant-Man. Wyatt Russell, U.S. agent in Falcon and Winter Soldier and Thunderbolts. So thank you guys for spoiling for us that he's going to survive the movie. Thank you. We appreciate that. Everybody's favorite Namor, Tenoch Huerta Mejia from Wakanda Forever. He was Prince of Atlantis there. Eben Moss Bachrach, who is he the Thing in Fantastic Four? I think that's him. Or is he Johnny? No, he's the Thing. That's right.
He's the Thing, yeah.
Right. Simu Liu, Shang-Chi, Florence Pugh, Kelsey Grammer gonna make an appearance here.
Beast.
As the Beast. Yep, as Beast for sure. Lewis Pullman is going to be in Thunderbolts. He is the character they tap to play the character they're going to tease as Sentry. So that's kind of an unknown. They got Danny Ramirez, who was in Captain America Brave New World as New Falcon. Basically, he was sidekick there. Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things fame, everybody's favorite character there in season 4. He's playing Johnny in Fantastic Four coming up. David Harbour, speaking of Stranger Things. Winston Duke is from all the Black Panther adjacent things. I don't remember the character's name, but he was the main rival for T'Challa before Killmonger showed. But the big Jack.
Yeah, the big Jack guy.
I can't remember. He's not Manape. I can't remember the character's name, but that's him. Hannah John Kamen, who you may remember from the blockbuster smash hit Ant-Man and the Wasp. She played Ghost. You get that? Ghost. She's an Avenger now. Tom Hiddleston, Patrick Stewart, first technical Marvel appearance. Oh no, he was in Doctor Strange, right? Wasn't he he was in part 2.
Yes.
Madness.
Yeah. Multiverse of Madness as Professor X.
So he's around. Ian McClellan, allegedly on this list here. Yep, but in his first MCU appearance, this will be.
Yep.
Everything else was the old Fox stuff. Alan Cumming, who I did not recognize from anything at all and didn't have an opportunity to run the list for a reference check. It says no MCU appearances, so I'm guessing he was in a Fox movie, would be my guess. Unless he's in nothing. Maybe this is just a total list. Rebecca Romijn, as Mystique. James Marsden, as Cyclops. Channing Tatum will be making an appearance as Gambit. And then you have Pedro Pascal, also Fantastic Four, first appearance there.
Mr. Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic himself. And then wrapping up the list was Robert Downey Jr. Now the rumor there, of course, is we know he's playing Doom, but there's still the question of, is it a dual role? Will he be playing Tony, good Tony from another Marvel multiverse or whatever?
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big list. It is, like I said at the beginning, it's missing a couple of heavy hitter names. No Cap. That's a problem for me. No Black Widow. No Hulk. No Hawkeye. I didn't see Jeremy Renner on that list anymore.
Yeah, no Hawkeye.
And he's back to form. Like, he had that accident, but he's back to work. He went back to the show he was on, didn't he?
True. Is it the town or the mayor or something like that?
Mayor of Kingstown or Lord of Kingstown, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. King of Kingstown. I don't know. Something with a king in it.
Yeah. He does limit. Now, I do know he does limit his appearances in movies. He does, so he has more time at home with his family. He still wants to be a family man.
Dude,
so he limits a lot of the stuff that he takes. So he just might be taking time off from Marvel.
This list had like 146 people on it, though. So they're all not getting equal screen time. I bet they could get him in there. Shoot for a day. You shoot a 15-second cameo. They could probably get him. But like you said, if he's just committed to living a different life, they had the whole thing flashed before his eyes and that plow ran over him.
So who's supposed to take his place? The one he was training in.
The character is Kate Bishop.
Yeah, you didn't mention her actress.
Nope. Haley, not Haley Atwell. Haley Stenfield. There's two Haley, because Haley Atwell is Peggy Carter. She's not on the list either. So they do have characters that aren't on the list. The chick from She-Hulk's not on the list either. But I saw a couple of videos floated out there around there today that said Tatiana Maslany might make an appearance, but I didn't see her.
No Ryan Reynolds for Deadpool,
which is bizarre, isn't it? Is that not kind of bizarre? Like, he
was never actually ever an Avenger. He was part of the X-Men, and then he was doing his own thing. He never was an Avenger. So
I get that, but they're trying to get the whole financial recovery thing for this franchise underway, and what better way, honestly, than to pull him or Hugh Jackman in? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To kind of just push things forward. But I think that's the thing. This movie, I think they're running some bloat risk here, don't you think? With this kind of cast list, it's getting big.
It's starting to explore the mutant crisis, because now we're ending the multiverse crisis. Now we're moving into the mutant. And I think I would say about phase 9, they'll have Avengers versus X-Men.
Phase 9, dude. If they get to phase 7, I'd be impressed.
No, they're gonna ride this cash cow until it's completely dead.
Yeah, dude, they're taking losses on a whole lot of this stuff. So I think they're riding the cash cow, but the cash cow might be half buried. That's the problem. They already rolled the carcass into the grave. They're just considering shoveling the dirt. I think that's
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
I'm liking what they've redone with the show we're about to talk about, which is a great transition right into Daredevil Born Again.
That was pretty slick. I'm not gonna lie.
That's right. We're going to be talking about Daredevil Born Again, the double drop, the mid-season double drop of episode 5 and 6. Now, I know you like to do the woo, 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 so go ahead and get that woo going.
Spoilers!
There it is. We got the timing right this time. High five.
Nailed it. What we didn't know, though, is that these 2 episodes were a pair, like that it was a to be continued situation.
Yep, we missed that, but I could see why they kind of did it. One, they have to be done by a certain date because Andor's coming right on its heels. So they have to be done by a certain date. So I think that's why they doubled it up. And doubled it up in the dead center is probably a smart move because you're moving into that next phase of the story.
Yeah, agreed. And I think that they probably took a look at episode 5 in particular and were like, this is fairly bottle. It was a good episode. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah. It was a fun episode. It could be placed anywhere in the story, though.
Awesome. Exactly. And I was just going to say that this was the Last of Us episode 3 situation. Like we could just literally, like we could drop the claw machine game down on it, exercise, and just move it over 2. We could drop it back 2,
So I would take a little bit and say no on that. One, because there was a line earlier in there saying we need more funding, which I think was who paid them to get the diamond because they needed more funding. And 2, this was the Matt called back to action. This is the first time he's actually fought since he gave up the title of Daredevil.
I mean, he did whoop those cops' asses.
Yeah, but that was just one fight. This was actually him actually doing it. Because he thought when the cops showed up and he was the solicitor or the lawyer, they would have just left him alone. He didn't expect them to, draw down on him.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of a self-defense reaction. This one, he made a conscious decision to go back into the bank. So it was his time to I'm back.
And I like that it was of all the 4 bank robbers, the mask he took obviously was the red one.
Yes.
To go ahead and pull that aesthetic off. They think they're slick doing that kind of stuff on this show. They don't think we see it. I saw that. It wasn't that clever, but I liked it though.
But anytime this was an action packed. Like this is what everyone wanted. Yeah, that's right.
I see your tagline. No, they don't bend that way. They absolutely do not bend that way. My kid happened to be walking by as that happened. He was like, "Dang!"
So me and the wife were watching it in our room in bed because we were gonna, turn off and go to sleep afterwards. Yeah. And then like I'm laying down and she's sitting next to me. And we both just kind of like popped, like, "Oh,
yeah, dude." Because it wasn't even a regular leg break. Like the dude was half down and getting up, and Murdoch just jumps up and comes down like kung fu stomp on it,
like below the knee area, just crushed.
All done. That guy's on long-term disability with the Kingpin's crime unit or whoever he worked for. Or put him up to it there. Yeah. Lucas crew, whoever. Like so let's talk about discount Colin Farrell there for a minute. I kind of like that character. Tell me that dude don't look like Colin Farrell, please. That's exactly who he is. Exactly.
His face really didn't like Colin Farrell, but his mannerisms and the way
the eyes. Are you shitting me?
Yeah,
the eyes and the brows. Oh, dude, no, dude. Let's poll 50 women. Guarantee they tell you he looks like Colin Farrell. Guarantee, and he sounded like him too. I'll give him that.
But I think that was a fun call to like set it in time too, because you're now on like that it was like March 17th. It's St. Patty's Day in Boston. Mm-hmm. Or no, in New York, which also has a huge, which has a huge Irish population.
Oh, they turn out. They have their parade still for sure.
Yeah,
that's still a thing up there. So I mean, we got two different episodes here. We have something that's very close, except for that initial setup and closure of why the episode was what it was with the bank heist. It is very bottled. The events that happen inside it, like there's not a lot of character work in that episode. Because it's Matt's by himself in the bank as it's getting he goes back and involves himself in a robbery that goes down that's been set up by forces behind the scenes to steal a diamond. They play kind of high and fast with some of the rules on how bank vaults work, but it's Daredevil. So if you tell me he can hear a tumbler opening up a 4-tumbler vault, fine. I don't care. The bank manager who's Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel's dad.
Yeah.
I mean, did we need that? No. Do I care? Also, no. Like whatever.
No, it was tying it all in, letting him know that this is canon, this is MCU. Yep. So it was one of those nods saying, yes, this is official now. This is part of our universe.
What I appreciated most about that, though, is that they worked in a line of dialogue that specifically said she was visiting friends in Los Angeles. So that's
Yeah.
tacit,
California.
guys, California. It's a tacit acknowledgement tonight to fans like me that are like, don't worry, she's not coming in this show.
Yeah.
Like she's over there. Like this is all part of the world, but there's not going to be a last second save with giant rubber hands. Like that's not going to happen.
No.
And I like that show. It was okay. It was cute. It wasn't great, but it was a decent family show, family friendly. But I did not need to see her ass show up and handle this bank heist. I did not. So
Matt had it under control because if you saw like through the whole thing, he never sweated once. He was calm, cool, collective. His voice never wavered.
Yeah, he was entirely too cool. Entirely too cool. You know, and Kamala's dad, not cool in several places.
No,
dropped that
very
key.
not. Can I get to snatch? A granola bar would be fine.
I was going to shoot him when he said that. I'm like, dude, you get the balls on this guy to stall by asking for a granola bar in the middle of a bank heist.
Oh, come on. That was perfect.
He's got a set on him. I'll give him that. So yeah, that was kind of I think that was the big setup and the ending to the episode there was that there's a crew of 4. They're on a bank job. It's not a mob bank. It's not Dark Knight or anything like that. They're trying to steal a diamond that has the 1.8. You know, I think that was the implication there, is they were trying to perpetrate that heist. It did not go off well for them. They were all systematically kind of daredeviled before he put the costume, or he put the borrowed mask on. There was no costume yet. That was a big surprise in the next episode. We'll talk about that. I didn't see that coming at all. Yeah, I think minus the kind of sit down character work, which gets heavier a little bit in episode 6. They do you a lot more show than a lot more talk in episode 6 with the character stuff. But we see Daredevil doing Daredevil stuff, which I think is what we talked about before. I need this. I need that on top of the character work. I do need to see him throw hands and get into the jujitsu match in the stairwell with a shotgun falling off a rail, and he snatches at the last
what
second.
A catch is that? I was trying to ask him, like, what did you think of that catch?
Sick. I was like, oh, he got it. I can't believe it. It was crazy. Crazy. It was like church in here when I seen that. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he did it. That's good. Because he's also at the same time strangling a dude in like a reverse triangle chokehold.
Yep.
You know, trying to hold it, trying grabbing a shotgun, which was good. And you guys saw the thumbnail, but I like that thumbnail. It's pretty savage. That's 2 guys that pointed guns at him in the same episode.
And he didn't even move.
Didn't flinch. Didn't even flinch. You know,
but that's why they call him Daredevil, the man without fear.
No fear. And I thought it was going to get a little cheesy, that dynamic that power he has where he can track individual footsteps. Like he just it's just like a unique signature to him. I'm like, okay, I've seen you use this more than once. I think I'm good with that. I don't like it. It's bordering for me. And this is the smallest of nitpicks. This is just something where I was like, if I was writing it, I would almost feel bad at this point. Like if I were to use this again as a mechanism for him to solve a problem, I'd be like, you're kind of going to you're going to the magic well a little too many times. But like, what else do you want him to do? The character's blind, and if he needs to track suspects, like what else could he do?
Yeah, and that's part of his powers that he got, his enhanced senses, and he could. In the comic book, he could theoretically see the room based off of sound bouncing off of stuff. Like he did get like a 3D picture, and that's what he was doing with the hearts. That's how he was counting everybody. He knew how many suspects there were, and he knew how many hostages there were. So this is just falls into his wheelhouse of like his powers. One thing they haven't led on to was his power of sense, like they did in the first season of the Netflix series. There was a scene where he first meets Claire, and he's like, there's a guy going door to door. He's like, he's on the 3rd floor right now. He's like, you can smell someone when he's 3 floors down. I'm like, when you did his cologne, you'll know why.
That's right. And speaking of Claire, no Claire.
Claire's not canon.
Yeah, I guess not. I mean, I guess maybe we need to look up Rosario Dawson's IMDb or something and see if did she move? Did she die at the end of season 3? And I didn't know. I don't remember. I'm surprised she's not around.
I don't remember season 3, so I'm gonna have to go back and see if she's even in season 3.
I think canonically, yeah.
Yeah, I think she left after Defenders.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Or did she leave the city or die? Because I didn't see any of Defenders, so I didn't know if she was in that at all, or if she died in Iron Fist or some shit. But I'm just surprised I mean, at least you could have thrown her a cameo for like the Foggy funeral episode. You know what I mean? If there was going to be a cameo, it would have fit nicely there. But I mean, they already had Karen come back to town and did that kind of reunion scene. So maybe they just honestly didn't need her. But it's just weird. It's one of those things that when we were talking earlier in the show's run about some of the legitimate gripes I thought that people had with just the show itself, is that if this is a direct sequel that takes place in world 1 year later than the end of season 3, they are missing some people like Daredevil's mother, like Claire, and then there were a couple of other people that came up that I couldn't remember.
Now he did have a callback to that.
He did.
Yeah, he said that I didn't meet my mother until later in life.
I thought that was good.
Yeah,
I'd like to see a little bit more of that because they look like they were leaning into some of the spiritual stuff here with this Catholic faith. Where he was praying over Foggy's memorial card, and I was like, okay, that's more than I thought a secular company like Disney was even going to give me. But like that's a core aspect of his character.
Yeah, is the Catholic faith,
right? And just not vigilante while also being a good Catholic.
So what I'm thinking they're doing is that they're using certain aspects of the Netflix series that it coincided to making it a different world, but some of the events went exactly as it did in the MCU universe. So
how do you mean?
Some of the events that happened in Daredevil Netflix did not happen to MCU Daredevil.
Oh, okay.
So they parallel, and there's certain aspects that happen, and how him and Kingpin are pretty much tied throughout all universes. Right. That stayed the same, but I think some of the events might have played out a little bit different. So that's why Claire's not here, and we don't see his detective friend who made detective, and how but like BB getting killed by Kingpin, that actually happened in both worlds.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So
they did a little, some from column A, some from column B kind of thing.
Yeah. And they
without completely undoing the mythos altogether. Okay. I guess I can
completely erasing the Netflix series, but not completely copying it either. That's why the reason why they're calling this season 1 of Born Again.
That's true.
To give the new viewers, their jump on point. So you don't actually need to watch the Netflix one. But if you want to know some of what's going on, you need to go back and watch. But that's why it's not a season 4, it's a season 1.
That's a great distinction too, to point out that they did number it that way, because with their other shows, X-Men 97 pops to mind. That new season that just came out is legit an extension of the old show from when we were kids. Like it's flat out on Disney Plus as season 6. You know what I mean? Or 7 or whatever it was. So yeah, if this is Daredevil Born Again season 1 episodes 5 and 6. Oh yeah, it's its own thing, and yes, it shares a bunch of the cast and crew. But there you go. It would have been nice. I see there that the Oracle piped in with with Claire Temple is still alive in universe, just not in the show. That's too bad. I think a hey Matt, how you doing scene would have been cool. Honestly, I don't mind. I don't mind seeing her in anything. I like when she shows up. I know some of us don't like her in Ahsoka very much, but as Claire, she's okay, and she's not even the big problem in the show.
You can only do as much as you can when writing you are given.
Yeah, when you're otherwise a talented actor and people like you, if people then bring the criticisms, it's probably not your fault.
Yeah,
this is true. Excuse me. So I think that's episode 5 in a nutty, I guess. I mean, there's really not a whole lot else to break down there. There were a couple of interesting beats.
Yeah, the other thing I want to intersect is that the worst hostage negotiator you've ever seen?
Dude, they tried to break and maintain like the trope of the hostage negotiator to the point where like the bank robber ran her down the playlist of like how things were going to go down, which itself is kind of a trope, because I feel like I've seen that done in every movie and show now. Oh, you think you had control? You never had control. Like I think I've seen that, but I'll give them this. I did like they got somebody to be the negotiator that I believed could be a negotiator. Like they got an actress who just showed up. Her hair was thrown back in a ponytail, or whatever. Not a lot of makeup, no time for bullshit. Like I bought her at least, but the trope of it was just kind of tired for me.
Yeah, and she's been in the series. Like she was in episode 1. She was at the bar celebrating Cherry's retirement. Oh, she was the one talking with Cherry.
Cool, I forgot. I didn't even remember that. Good catch. But I mean, but she felt like a cop actress to me. You know what I mean? Like it's something Like I could see her doing that as a supporting character on any of these shows. She could show up on Law and Order or some bullshit and hand Stabler a case file or give him the pair of gloves or the evidence bag. Like I get that. You know, the joke was all right though. He made her tell a joke. I thought the punchline was pretty funny. And then he was going to kill somebody. Yeah, that's and that's. Yeah. I'm glad we got on that line of thought because this is my issue with the episode. Right, this show's rated R or MA or whatever the cable streaming.
Yeah, MA-17.
MA-17. Right. We get the language. We haven't gotten a lot in the way of skin on an MA-17 show, and I don't think Disney Plus would ever throw that down in a Marvel show. Like you were never.
It's not needed in this. In this show.
What I'm saying. You're not getting a shower scene. You're not getting Matt Murdock's backside or anything like that. In episode 6, his girlfriend is smoking hot. I'll give him that. But still, in episode 5, we get all the language. We get some of the graphic violence that you were a big fan of in the hand-to-hand. And we get some gunplay. It's kind of light on the gunplay. But what we don't really ever get is like the actual danger that the hostages were in. Those bank robbers needed to kill one of them. That absolutely needed to happen to me because the banter was too funny between lead bank robber and the cop. And then Matt was too cool because he's supposed to be. Like, I'm not criticizing the character. He's supposed to be. But like, even the supporting actors that were there, like the hostages that they took, the married couple that got released, there was a woman in the background that had I think she got her head banged into a desk. She had a pretty good like gash around her eye. And there were a couple of other like wounded people, but it didn't sell me on the danger. And then it doubly didn't sell me on the danger after Matt called them out, was like, we both know you're not here to kill anybody. Like you're running out of time. Like by the time we got to that point, I was like, I think they're all going to get away anyway. Like, I don't think anybody's really in danger. They're stalling for time to look for something, but that's, I don't know. Maybe it's illogical, but I thought there needed to be more danger on the table for that situation.
So one of the things that I could say played into it was him telling him if someone dies, you're going to get felony murder instead of just armed robbery.
Armed robbery. He said you get the 25-year upgrade or whatever.
Yeah. So that might have been playing in their head. And two, they definitely played like they were not there to kill anyone. Like the guns there were just for show.
Well, it was funny because my son, even when he had walked in when the episode started, and he was like, Dad, how come the bank robbers aren't shooting their guns at the ceiling? And I'm like, because they do that in every other show. You know what I mean? So maybe they just gave the guns a break on this show. I was like, yeah, that's a good point. They really just walked in and they were like, okay, we're just gonna rob the place. We're gonna rough everybody up, and they did. They beat the crap out of some people. So maybe it was enough.
Or you did play into the Disney Corporation didn't want to publicize gun violence.
Yeah, I mean that's true too. That's true too. I don't think that outside of the that's probably why we're not getting a Disney Plus Punisher show. Like he'll make an appearance. That's another good question too, I guess. Like does Frank Castle make another appearance, or was that it? Do you think he shows up to deal with this task force, or is Frank done?
I think there will be another scene with the Punisher when they're taking on the task force. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I do believe that's going to happen.
Seems like that'd be a horrible waste of opportunity to have the Punisher show up and not fire a shot.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be kind of...
And I could be wrong, but I believe this has already been greenlit for a second season.
Oh yeah. That was in the news a week ago. That's for sure. That'll be underway probably soon. Because I think that this show, because it's recovering in ratings, but it's not strong. Like it's on that upward trajectory that we talked about. Because I think word of mouth like this, for all of our millions and millions of listeners right now that are listening here and on Rumble. And
we thank all three of you.
We thank all three of us. I think the word of mouth is out there to draw the comparison again. This is Marvel's Andor, 100%. It's a quality show that you really have. I mean, unless you're completely opposed to some of the cornerstone creative decisions they've made, like not having Karen and Foggy, quality-wise, writing-wise, I don't see a whole lot to be butthurt about. Like it's not tripping my woke radar. It's not tripping a quality radar. People seem to be into it on the show. Like they're not acting like idiots.
And then people on the other side are saying aren't getting anything that's offending them, where it's like pro right wing, pro gun. It's not that either. It's a show that everyone could enjoy.
Yeah, I thought they balanced that well too, because we had a brief political discussion on the episode, whichever it was. Where was it episode 1 where Kingpin won the election, or was that like episode 2? It was early on.
Yeah,
we
episode 1's
talked
where he won.
Yeah, we talked politics, and we were like, people on either side of American politics are trying to draw parallels to, Kingpin is Trump. This was the debate. This was the election. But the show balanced, Joe opinion on the street, Joe Q public man on the street opinion. Oh, the Kingpin's going to get it done. No, that guy's a scumbag criminal. Like, they did a back and forth, which is all we've ever asked for. Is dude, just paint the real pictures. There are people in New York that vote every which way to Sunday. Like, it's not a solid blue echo chamber like Twitter wants you to believe.
Yeah, I think even the dude with the boot on his head who calls himself a wizard got votes from New York. So
okay, he did. That's exactly right. What was that guy's name?
I don't remember either.
Something supreme. Damn, I can't remember his name. But yeah, so I think that there's a lot to like on this show, from a craft level, from a story level, from a performance level. And I was kind of thinking that might be a video we'd have to do where we talk about, there's 4 or 5 things that we look for in a show, quality of the production, performances, writing, continuity, whatever other dimensions.
Setting, prop work, stuff like that.
Adherence to canon, in something like Rings of Power, something like that, where like Brandon Sanderson's always talking about, aspects of character. They need to have likability, capability, and there's one other ability. And he's like, if you're really low in one, the other 2 need to skew the other side of like the even point. If it's on like a line graph or something, if one of them gets down to a -3, one of the other ones needs to be a +3 or a +4 to overcome. And that's what I think about this show. Because if we segue into episode 6, I got a couple of negatives on episode 6. But overall, because it meets my expectations in several other aspects, I don't care, like it doesn't bother me that, and we'll skip around like we were. Excuse me. There was some really punchy bad dialogue in episode 6. There was some really bad, I thought, CG in episode 6. Again, the wire fu and the running across the roof did not look good. Especially
we're back to 90s video game on that one.
Oh, dude, yeah, I did like Resident Evil 3-ish at best, right? Like and I think that the running across the roof was actually worse than the baton grapple swing into action off the roof. And I don't get that. Just fucking film a guy with the drone running on a roof. How hard could that be? You can do it. But so I mean, when things like that falter, you still go back to like the intensity that Charlie Cox brings to the role, that when he finally cuts loose in a fight scene, you're like, dude, this dude would ruin me in an alley, blind or not. Like he gets that way, so it doesn't, a show doesn't have to be great because it scores perfectly category A, B, C, D, E. There's some wiggle room there. I just wanted to get your opinion on that take before we go to episode 6.
It's definitely true. Like, every show is not going to be Citizen Kane. Every episode isn't going to be that fantastic Emmy-winning episode. There will be shortcomings. In every project, there's that. Sometimes your best shot is blurry. So you try to rework the edit and the cut to still make sure that you get what you're trying to portray. The CGI, yes, was bad in this, but I think Vince D'Onofrio in this one actually carried this episode a little bit more than Charlie Cox. Just Charlie Cox was more towards the end, but watching the dynamic and the way they cut it between the two of them as two men, the way they're paralleling these two stories is the ideal way to do it. I mean, this is almost a how to tell the story of like you could do this with Professor X and Magneto. Hands down the same way, how they parallel, because one is based off of the Martin Luther King dynamic, where one day we'll all get along, and then the other one's after the Malcolm X ideology for diversity is by any means necessary.
Yeah, and
having that type of parallel shot, if they did a show with them too, like when they were young Charles and young Eric, when they were friends, and then show the divide, I think that would be awesome to do that way.
And I think you're right. I think when you pair quality writing with two quality actors that can deliver a storyline that involves people that had tried to leave behind violent emotional baggage that get compelled for whatever reason to be dragged back in and see how they respond. And you'll note that the Kingpin went all the way. Like that dude's dead, right? 100%. He dragged the body back into the cell. I didn't think he was just unconscious. His eyes were open. He wasn't moving. Right? That guy's dead. Kingpin beat his ass.
Yeah.
Kingpin beat his ass.
So here's a question for you. When you saw him bring the axe, what did you think was going to happen?
This dude was fucked. And then it got cooler than I thought it was, which was awesome because this is a well-written show. They went Game of Thrones. I thought that dude, hey, there he is. There's the pape. What's going on, boss? I thought that he was toast. I thought that he was kindling. I thought that dude was shish kebab. I thought pick your disgusting human meat analogy for the situation, but it did not look good for him. But then they made it 10 times more chilling. They made it all Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah,
monologue and everything.
They made it even better because I think one of the things a lot of people I believe were going to happen is he was going to take his hands and cut him off with the axe. They were going to mutilate
Did I not
him.
say that episode 3?
Exactly, like what you were saying you thought would happen. But this one, he opens the cage, throws in the axe, and he's like, I learned to fight with my hands. And I realized a simple weapon could equalize things.
You forgot to work on the axe, the voice.
I've been trying.
That's better. That wasn't bad. But don't keep it up. It's probably not. It probably won't hold.
Yeah, I don't need the laryngitis either.
I know, right? No, that scene was pretty sick, but because I didn't see it coming like that, and it's so in character for Kingpin because we know that's his upbringing. That all checks out. That's nothing that they threw on you in episode 6 of 9 or 6 of 10 or whatever. And like, oh, surprise! Also, this happened. Like, no, this tracks. This makes sense. This dude's twisted because he had to be stronger than he was the day before every day going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd have still brought a gun just in case I got my ass kicked by the guy with the axe anyway. The way I could have just shot him, but yeah, maybe Kingpin did. Maybe he had it in the shoulder rig.
And see, here's the thing with that is that if you go back to the comic books, Kingpin did this all the time. He would bring in 4 or 5 people and he would fight them because he was a master. He was a master at hand-to-hand combat in like 4 different forms of martial arts. So having that happen calls to what Kingpin is. How the hell did Kingpin lose?
Yeah, exactly, dude. She beat him down and shot him in the face. The end. Yeah.
And that's why he was away.
Yeah. That's why I lost my wife. I just sound like Harrison Ford. I can't do it. My Kingpin voice is Harrison Ford's voice. Shut up and pay me in weed. Like that's it. Like old Batman. He's too old to be Batman Beyond. You know, not that I want to track, but he's too old to be that. But yeah, no, that's the early point I wanted to make on how you were saying they shot those 2 scenes together is that it started like they were parallel, right? And they went right up to the line. And then I'm pretty sure Kingpin killed that guy as Matt was stringing up the Muse. Like he caught up the baton wire, threw it over the ladder, and he pulled him up. But then he let him down because he knew the girl needed him.
Yeah.
So he didn't kill that guy, and he failed, right? Like when he looked back, the body was gone.
He was gone. He had escaped.
Okay, I thought I blinked and missed that. Okay, cool.
So one thing that I wanted to bring up about that, about Muse, is one of the things that they've changed that I noticed is in the comic book, one of his abilities is he's unable to be detected by Matt's sense. Like Matt can't see him at all. He can't hear him. He can't. When he does the projection where he can like see the room like I brought up earlier. He can't see the Muse anywhere. Can't hear the footsteps. He's like completely invisible to Matt, which makes him a more deadly opponent for the Daredevil.
That's interesting. I wonder, maybe that's just something you have to drop for a limited TV series. When I have time to figure out how to defeat him, I don't know.
One of the other things he has above human strength and agility as well. Now the agility we saw a little bit of,
we saw that,
but we didn't see the strength.
I mean, he was carrying bodies down the subway by himself to drain them for blood. I took that as contextually that he had enough upper body strength to throw hands at least.
Yeah, but he wasn't like he beat down Daredevil their first contest in the comic book.
Oh, I believe it. I 100% believe it. I think in the show because they they're not doing the superhuman thing in this. I mean, we know it exists in universe because of Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. Like the mysticism exists. I get that, but Matt Murdock's thing isn't mystical. Like there's not supposed to be magic here. But I remember I was thinking that when I watched that scene because I don't know anything about the Muse from the comic at all. Like that, like I said, Daredevil wasn't a book I followed a lot as a kid. But when they started throwing hands, it's one of the things I like most about this show every season that I've watched is Matt misses punches all the time.
Yeah.
Like he's not perfect. He whiffed on a few. He took the Muse hit him with a flying knee at one point. It wasn't like a flying knee, but like he came up off the ground and gave him one. You know, it's like it's not a one-sided beating.
Dude, in that one scene where he's like laying on his back and then he kind of turns and then they did the Dutch tilt with it.
Yeah.
That was perfect to capture like the mysticism of the Muse as well as that just awesome cinematography with the Dutch tilt they did.
Because it's supposed to make you feel off-put about that character, that he is fucking weird.
Yeah,
there's something strange about him. So I get that. Like that is the stylized on all that stuff was fine. The fight was fine. I think it was a little lacking. Not in like length or anything like that, or like duration of the brawl, but their brawl itself wasn't all that creatively done. Not that it was terrible, but I was kind of expecting more. Like especially, I mean, maybe it's just their first battle. Like it'll be their first fight, and Matt will have to fight him later. Maybe that'll get better.
Matt's attention was divided because he was there to save the girl.
Well, let's talk about the girl because that's kind of what I have two other gripes with this episode, and I want to talk about that's Angela. No, wait, that's not Angela Ayala. Is that her name?
Yeah,
it was Angela. Because the police negotiator's name was Angie. Like there were two Angelas in these episodes. So I know I'm gonna reverse them, but I think the girl was Angela. I think that was Angela Ayala because the wife's name was Soledad. I remember that was Hector's wife's name was Soledad. So, anyways, the young girl comes to the Murdoch law office to do a little follow-up action, and I'm like, okay, I like this character. You know, she'll show up. Let's see what she's got to say. And she basically calls him a chicken shit and doesn't understand why a blind lawyer who she doesn't know is Daredevil won't go down to like the worst section of town and investigate the missing homeless 60 people that have been revealed to have been desanguinated by a serial killer. Like she acts surprised that he won't do this. Then
also like the way he would have done it is the way she doesn't want to do it, which is bring in the police.
Right.
Because he has to work within the confines of the law.
Right. So, and I get her, like I like that little bit of the exchange where he was like, this is the thing you take to the police. This isn't a courtroom. You know, and she's like, yeah, but the police killed my uncle. And I'm like, oh yeah, they kind of did. So yeah, I get that, but I don't like her exchange with him trying to talk down to him. It was the opposite inflection point of when she first met him, and she was kind of like, not that she was deferential, but she looked like a scared kid trying to like, you know, get her uncle out of jail. You have to help, you have to do this. And now she's angry that her uncle's dead and literally the blind guy can't help her throw hands.
Yeah.
And like, all right, you're like 16, 17 years old. You're not 10. Like a 10-year-old, I'd be like, yeah, you can be upset that your uncle's dead and not understand how this isn't going to be fixed. But like, she's in high school. I don't know. That scene just didn't sit right with me, but we knew he was going back in. There was no doubt he was going to go back in at that point. The other thing I wanted to get your take on is, did you notice any bad dialogue with Kingpin in this episode? Any kind of continuity problems? Because I picked up on one. I just want to see if you picked up on it.
No, I did not. So
we were talking about this. We were talking about the next scene a little while ago, where he's addressing. He talks to the police chief, and he's like, yeah, maybe we need a special task force that, you know, I'll vet personally, and I'll leave it up in the air who's in charge of it. Maybe it's me, maybe it's you. I thought that was kind of a nod to the police chief, like, yeah, dude, yeah, you can have overtime and no body cams and other stuff your scumbag dirty cops would like, you know. So right after that, though, is the garage scene where Kingpin rolls up. Is a bunch of the black sheep cops, because maybe they're dirty, maybe they're not. I don't know. I don't know all their stories. Right?
The worst of the worst, as he
worst of the
referred
worst.
to it.
They're all dirty. Okay, they're all dirty, but they can't get drummed off the force yet for reasons. So Kingpin shows up, And his first line of dialogue, like through the walking through the door is, as you know, we have a serial killer in our midst. And then he goes into his speech and he does the recruitment thing. He talks to Cole North. Is that who you said it was? The cop gave his individual story.
Yeah, Cole North.
And then the follow line after that is, I don't know if Gallo told you, but we have a serial killer in our midst. And I'm like, dude, you opened with that. And it just struck me as like, we know this show in certain spots was kind of like cut and some of it was thrown away and some of it was brought back, and they do callbacks all the time and ADR and things. That slapped me right out of what was going on, because I'm like, no, this show's too smart for him to repeat himself. And the Kingpin wouldn't repeat himself. No shot that he would say almost verbatim the same line. And if you didn't notice it, maybe I just took that completely out of context. But that really bugged me when it happened. Like, really bugged me. I'm surprised. So yeah, it was because I haven't picked up on anything like that at all in this show before, where like every line of dialogue literally advances the scene that it's in and the larger story moving forward. All the political stuff between Kingpin and his aides is literally a push towards that end zone, a push to get him to understand how to play the game. Like, we saw him basically get cucked a little in this episode by people that were at the gala, where like the blonde lady's like, yeah, dude, you got a seat at the table for a little bit, but we decide who eats here. I was like, that's cold-blooded shit to say to this guy that you know is a career criminal, by the way.
Yeah.
Which
this you did see with, especially with the first episode or the first scene with him in it, where he's meeting one of his old associates who showed up in a tracksuit to meet the mayor.
Town hall, to City Hall, to meet the mayor, and didn't have a fuck to give.
Yes.
Not one. He gonna die.
Yeah.
He gonna die next episode.
That, and then everything that was happening in the gala, and then talking with Vanessa about the disrespect. And then you have the scene where he's putting his coat jacket on and he rips it. And it's like he's outgrowing, or he's coming out of his shell of the mayor. And soon you're going to see the return of the white coat.
Dude, it was his red mask moment from episode 5 that Matt got. It's exactly the same thing. It's literally the same thing. They're re-becoming who they are.
Yeah,
brilliant. Love it. Nice and subtle.
And that's what pushed him to the events that happened with him and Adam later that we already talked about.
For sure.
Yep. It's them getting back in the swing of things, in other words.
He's just swinging an axe. I don't remember. I know you haven't seen Breaking Bad, right?
No.
We've talked about you haven't seen that.
Yeah.
So you never saw Better Call Saul then either, the spinoff? Okay. So one of the guys at the gala is one of my favorite characters from Better Call Saul. It was the middle-aged guy with the darker hair that was also talking to him about, you're just doing this to line your own pockets kind of thing. So that's Lalo from Better Call Saul, who is an all-time best cable TV show villain.
So was he like one of the other ones where he's talking to him by himself? He looks a little Hispanic.
Yes. Yep.
That's exactly the swordsman. Right. Remember they talked about the swordsman earlier? Yes. He's the swordsman.
How do you know that?
From the Hawkeye series.
Nobody watched that.
Of
all the things you watched, really, you watched Hawkeye. Now you.
I like Hawkeye because I love Jeremy Renner. He's an amazing actor.
Dude, the only person that doesn't like Jeremy Renner is his ex-wife. I mean, the rest of us love the guy. That's a fact. I mean, Rachel Zegler doesn't like Jeremy Renner too much, but her movie bombed. I'm not going to go on a tangent, but anywho, yeah. So it's always nice when I see people from other shows show up in cameos here, because he was he was the villain. Growth versus Fat Man in a Little Coat.
Fat Man in a Little Coat.
Yeah. Showed up just in time. Nice. Yeah, I love seeing those kind of character actors show up in other cool stuff. So if he's going to be is the swordsman a vigilante? Was that the point of that video that was earlier? Okay.
Yeah. So remember they showed the video and he was there and he's like, please drop the purse first. Yeah, that was him.
So he's basically like 2025 Zorro. Is that where we're going here?
Yeah, that
Zorro
would
2099. That could work. I think that's a thing. I think that's actually a comic. Zorro 2099. I'll have to go take a peek at that. So yeah, if they're going to build him into something cool, but that whole section of Kingpin just getting dunked on absolutely broke him into going down into the basement wherever and roughing that dude up. Yeah. And I thought at one point we were going to get a Netflix graphic ending to that, because you remember obviously from season 1 and the Netflix run is Daredevil up. Kingpin destroys that dude's skull in the Escalade door.
Yep.
9 times, 10 times or so.
The first
And
time you meet the Kingpin.
Oh my dude, yeah, dude. You're like, okay, sold. You're the baddest guy on TV.
Yep.
There was that part where he had thrown hands with Adam or whatever, and he had him slam down on the table. Dude, he hit him with like the 1980s double axe hammer move on the chest, right? And I'm like, dude, it's gonna be one punch down, and this dude's face is just gonna implode like a fucking fender bender. There's no shot he's getting up from this. And then Kingpin drags him into the cell with the one-arm drag, and I'm like, he's dead. He's
with the axe.
With the axe. Like he's got to be dead. How could he not be dead?
And was it when he threw him up into the wall, or when he slammed his head into the side where the gate is for the prison? He kept saying, "Mine,
mine." That was savage. Dollars to Donuts would bet you a paycheck the line was ad-libbed. Guaranteed. That's a D'Onofrio move. There's no shot they wrote that in. That's why you get guys like that.
Yeah,
you know, you can't
who have the timing and know when to say things, and they just trust them.
Yep, 100%. I'm not saying he did that on the first take. Yeah, dude might have done that on like take 5 and was just frustrated because shit wasn't working out, and he finally clicked into like full-on Kingpin mode. Maybe he just dropped some knowledge on him and said, "Mine," minus the Bane, so the Batman voice. Pretty good. That was a pretty good savage beating. But I honestly thought we were getting the MK1 fatality. But I think maybe that's the difference between Netflix and Disney, that even if this is MA-17, they're not giving you the Punisher double thumb eye gouge into the CIA guy's eyeballs. We're not. No. I don't think that's never going to, even regardless of what the rating is that they pass on the cut. You know what I mean? You're never getting that. So if anybody's out there for that,
long as when the Punisher shows up and they're going head to head with the anti-vigilante task force, we don't get the A team where 10 million bullets are fired and nobody gets hit.
No, what I need is the end of the movie Commando with Schwarzenegger, where he fires 10 million bullets and hits everything. That's what I need.
The magical 249.
The quad launcher. Quad launcher, dude. That's awesome.
Puts the pipe in his chest.
Blow off some steam, Bennett. Yes, awesome. We need to do that review. That's it. We're reviewing Commando. Let's do it. I love it. Dude, the character's name in that movie, his Schwarzenegger's name was John Matrix. Like, what 80s cocaine-fueled writing room sat around and did that shit? Throwing it out there. Dude, for sure. That's never.
Yeah, Disney
never.
Dude, even they have a code.
But I mean, but they walked right. But listen, I'm not taking anything away from them either. Dude, we got that leg break in episode 5. That was disgusting.
That was awesome.
That was every bit as good as the arm break in the alley in the Netflix show in episode 1.
And they did the arm break in episode 2.
That's what I'm saying. We got faces in the fridges, faces on the tables, faces on the floors. Dude, you and I broke that fight scene down like nobody else on the internet. Like we went beat by beat like it was a UFC title fight. You know what I mean? I think we covered that pretty damn good. But we're never getting that's rated R violence. They're never going to get into the unrated, that single X rating from the 70s on like torture porn, weirdo slasher film things. They're not. No. It's brand annihilation if they go there.
Yeah.
And I don't think. I think
it needs it either.
That's what I'm saying. Like the Punisher show scratched that itch. Like if I need to see somebody get absolutely destroyed, I can put that back on. But this is Daredevil. Like that's not. I don't. And someone will comment on the shorts because that's been happening lately. Oh, this one issue, this one episode of Daredevil. One time he cut that guy's ear off or something. I'm like, dude, it happened once in 1985. You know what I'm saying? Like this is 2025 for better or worse. We're not going to get that here. But like King was just saying, the show isn't lacking for violence when the story calls for it. Like when he left to pursue the bank robber in episode 5, you knew it was that dude's ass. It was done. Yeah. It was over for that guy the minute he walked out of the bank. That was it.
And that's the thing with a lot of people who've been complaining about this series is that they've been complaining that it's too character driven. It's too slow. Then they give you these 2 episodes and this is what you have to build to because you can't just throw this out there. This is what I was talking about before with other shows with the pew pew action everywhere, but so light on story that you forget about it 10 minutes after you watch it. I mean, look at one of our most hated shows. Yeah, they had a cool laser sword battle, but after that, there was nothing there. It was just, oh, let check from this cool scene to this cool scene. This is building a story that you can dig your teeth into and actually enjoy from start to finish. And you look forward. I'm looking forward to Tuesdays because I want to see the next one. And I am going to be sad when the final episode runs, even though we do have Andor coming right off on the heels of it. And we also have Last of Us starting right around that time as well.
I'm glad you mentioned Andor because I'll do our streamlined segue right into talking about Andor real quick because I called Daredevil Marvel's Andor at the beginning of the show for us. We were talking about ratings. I think if we were to compare the two shows, Daredevil's actually the superior show, and I'll tell you why. Andor, even among people that enjoyed the show, of which you and I both did, I think if we went back and consulted our ratings, we came within a point of each other's 10 score. I think on every episode. I don't think we ever had any big gap in like, dude, this was a bust. Like we had plenty of those on Ahsoka. Like where I was like, oh no, okay, I like Ahsoka the White, and you were like, dude, she rode in a space whale's mouth. This is stupid. So we had some variation on that show, but this is why Daredevil's better than Andor. Because if you remember Andor, and as I was just about to say, the common complaint about that show is nothing happens for the first 2.5 episodes. We get this weird, I have to find my sister, X-Files, Mulder, Samantha thing for 2 hours. And then it's never mentioned again. And it's not even good.
Which I think that's showing who he was and his motivation, and then how his motivation changed. I think you needed that to show the growth of the character.
And they can have that, but what I'm saying is I think that they spent way too much time getting that ball rolling. It was an original character, so maybe they needed to spend more time, and Daredevil is a legacy. He's a vested, known IP. But this show wastes no time getting you emotionally involved in characters. There's no, because I say this, there's nobody brand new to this show that has no idea who Daredevil is, that isn't an MCU fan, whatever, that if they watch the first 2 episodes of this show, they don't immediately know who everybody is, what the stakes are, and why everybody's ruined when Foggy gets shot. It's abundantly clear in the first 10 minutes why that's a big deal.
Yep.
So they get that ball rolling, and then they're off to the races. So then this is how this show avoids the criticism that we typically, like colloquially between us, we call the talking in the kitchen, talking in hallways, talking at Dairy Queen, wherever. This show, when they talk, it's not that. When he sits down with King at the diner, you pay attention. It's important. It's story building. Other shows, they're just I'll have the omelet, and can I get a side of rye? No. There's no complaints. They're talking on there's subtext. They're talking on multiple levels about different things. They're not always telling the truth. They're letting them know that they know more than they know.
Yep.
They suspect that they know that they don't know more than the other guy knows. That whole joke. They do that too. And that's what makes this a great show. So like you said, dude, I just watched these damn things an hour ago before we started the show. It's running late today. I already want next week. And I'm pissed that there's only how many more after that? 2, 3?
2 or 3. 2 or 3.
It's a double episode again after next week. Next week's a single, and then I think we get another 2-piece and then one more. So I think there's 10. I think there's 10
okay.
total. But yeah, you're right. I mean, this will be one of those things where people are like, dude, I'm gonna be sad when this is done. Yes, they are greenlit for a season 2, but like if that's
going to take a year to a year and a half to get done.
Saying. And dude, I think we were just starting to get into that topic a little bit earlier, or that aspect of it where like, can we please get back to a cadence like Law and Order or Futurama or MASH or Seinfeld, wherever, where like you just get shit done and then you reset for the next season when you know you're green? Like, can we just go back to work? Like this 2.5, and the pandemic's the pandemic. Don't, again, in the comments, don't start on me. Like, I get it. The pandemic was weird.
And then we had the back-to-back strikes too.
We had I guess situationally, I guess it's not all their fault. I guess,
and it's looking like that. There's another strike on the way, which is the collective bargaining agreement is about to run out again.
Yep, I heard that. So that'll be some stuff we'll probably talk about on FrostCast in between shows or in like a mini segment, because that is a big deal because it completely impacts momentum, which is what Andor and Daredevil both shared and what they lacked. Which is why we get these idiot hit pieces that are like, see the chuds, the Acolyte and Agatha are better than Daredevil. And again, I'll say, show me the videos where people positively reviewed either of those shows and pointed out strong story beats, dialogue, craft. I just call it craft work, and I mean setting, costume, like all like there's probably a technical term that you could tell me. You know that stuff, like the production design of things. You know, show me any of the videos that are praising any of those things, and I'll be like, okay, so you found somebody that enjoyed that show. But you know what? They're not out there. But there are shows that there are Daredevil review videos like this one that do positively review Andor and Daredevil and other things that don't perform well in terms of views. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. The 2-year intervals is garbage. But like King was just saying, sometimes it's legit circumstances outside folks' control, like pandemics and like strikes.
Yeah, I mean, if we go back to network TV, like you were talking about, you had a certain time schedule that you knew you were on. So you knew that at the end of August, you're starting to film episode 1.
Right.
For the new season that comes out in September, right after school starts, because that's heavy TV season. And then it goes until May with the break in Christmas. And then they have one other break in there where they show past episodes from that season.
Clip shows and things.
Yes. Yep. And then you come into May sweeps where you have your series finales to get all your ratings in. Then you go into the summer, and the summer was usually, pilot season where you're testing new episodes or new shows and stuff like that.
See, I think that's probably the part that this will be like our last little mini topic here because we're coming up against it, but I think it's worth mentioning. I miss pilot season because it allowed it's just like it's one of the other benefits of having that format of television where if you know the show is going to get an order for like, would you say 22, like you did the 22 thing last
it's
week.
Usually about 22 to 23 episodes per season.
And my point on that has always been you can try things in 23 episodes, and if it doesn't hit, you just move on. Pilot season, the pilot phenomenon works the same way. You can pitch a show, they budget you to make an episode, you hire some people, you give the story Bible, you say, hey, this is the thing we're going to do. Let's check it out. And then if it bombs, it fucking bombs. But we don't get that now. You know what we get now? We get a pre-order approval from Netflix that says, oh yeah, we're going to give, or from Paramount, we're going to give you 5 seasons of Halo. But season 1 had nobody watch it. They flubbed through season 2, and now nobody talks about that show ever.
And it got canceled.
And it got canceled. The Wolf was right. Go check those videos because it was hot garbage. But somebody got all that money up front and approval to do those. You know? So if Disney shows up and says, oh, Daredevil got like a middling run, we budgeted enough money to give you season 2. But if this doesn't track into like 10 to 15 million viewers by the end of this season, which I don't think it can, but when it doesn't hit that threshold, they'll get season 2 done because it's positive enough word of mouth that they'll do it because it will bring some people in, unlike those other trash shows. But we're not getting seasons 3 or 4 of this show. I guarantee it.
I checked the IMDb, but Rotten Tomatoes on this one, and it has a 83 with critics and an 80 popcorn score. Dude, can we please refer back to Acolyte on that? Or the 1.9 of your latest blockbuster release on IMDb.
Oh, for Zegler's Snow White, is it down to a 1.9?
Yeah, 1.9.
Wow. It makes it worse than Dragon Ball, dude.
Yeah,
that's bad.
There was a meme I saw today where she was sitting on the throne and had Dragon Ball kneeling to her.
Dude, that movie bombed in all the right ways, which is effing glorious. And then she made her stupid little Instagram video talking about, I know people are still going to line up to come see anything I do. I'm like, I don't think so, because you got dunked on in like blue areas too.
70
like trade papers and times and things.
77 million on opening weekend on a $278 million budget.
Global 77. Domestic, it was 42. You know what range that's in? Borderlands and Indiana Jones 5. Anybody singing the praises of those? Nope. Like, I get it. This chick, she's kind of attractive and she can sing, but like, let's not play like she's box office gold. She's not. Like, West Side Story bombed. This bombed. She had the Farquaad haircut. Like, the only thing that turned a nickel's worth of profit for this chick was the Hunger Games, and she wasn't the main character in that. And it was brand recognition on the games. Like, she won't be back for the 5th book, because I think she's doing a 5th book. Suzanne Collins has a 5th book, but I think that's going to be a topic for another day.
Yes,
because I think sadly we've come to time. The King's got a lot of stuff on his plate. I got a couple things I got to go edit. I think no profound goodbyes. We'll say special bye to Pape, though, because he showed up in the clutch with a great joke, and we needed that. We needed that little boost. Thank you, brother, for showing up. We'll be back again next week, of course. King Z, no profound goodbyes, please.
Well, see ya.